America has a strange relationship with sex. We're obsessed with it, but it terrifies us. We censor it because it's constantly being shoved down our throats. But our dirty little secret is we like things shoved down our throats, especially when we're in bondage, or we're wearing leather, or being slapped around a little bit, and oh, God. I'm Sonny Megatron. Join Ken Melvoinberg and I as we explore, dissect, and demystify American sex.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. American Sex with Ken Melvoinberg and Sonny Megatron.
Shh, I've started. I've started. Ken?
Okay, you need to tell me when you start. This is our intro now. Our intro is me going, you need to tell me when we start.
Well, you know what, Ken?
What?
Our intro wouldn't be this if you weren't so grumpy. However, you are 25% less grumpy than you were earlier, aren't you?
Yes, I am, and thank you for that.
You're welcome. And they're now all going to think I blew you, which I guess is okay because we're married, even if we weren't. Go ahead and think I blew him. But I didn't. That's not what happened.
That's true. She rimmed me.
No, I didn't. I mean, not that I'm embarrassed about that, but at least I'm, tell the truth. I will rim you.
That's not what happened at all. So this is the most non-sexy thing that happened with a sexy thing.
Wait. But before you get into the story, I made this audio. It is our very first sex toy spotlight. Don't take the wind from beneath my wings, my sails, or whatever the fuck.
Hashtag Beth Midler.
Beth
Midler. Beth Midler. Beth Midler.
That's how I'm going to be following Beth Midler. I'm like a second-rate Bette Midler. It's Beth Midler. Could afford the real Bette Midler.
It's her cousin, Beth.
All right, listen, my audio graphic, it's not a graphic, whatever it is, my audio jingle, here it is, very first sex toy spotlight.
Sex toy spotlight, here it is, go.
Ken, you don't do a jingle for the jingle.
I do.
Okay, listen, everybody.
Do you want me to be 25% more grumpy, or are you going to let me do the fucking jingle?
I made a jingle.
I'm doing the pre-jingle to the jingle. It's like an appetizer. It's the food we eat before we eat the food.
Okay, do the pre-jingle.
I just did.
Okay, here's the real jingle. Sex toy spotlight, here it is, go. Yeah. So yay, very first sex toy spotlight. Tell a story, Ken, why you're not so grumpy anymore.
So I had spinal fusion surgery a few years back. We got kind of messed up when I was in the service. And since I had the spinal fusion, I don't really need any medicine or anything like that. But with all the extreme weather changes, my back gets sore really easily. And the one thing that helps is actually large amounts of vibration. So we did a kind of a non-sexy thing with a sexy device. And we were doing sort of a challenge to see which wand vibrator felt better on my sore back, and the clear winner when we used both the Hitachi Magic Wand and the Wonder O Wand by Castle Megastore, the Wonder O Wand beat it hands down. The silicone head is actually a solid silicone. It's thick, so it puts a lot of pressure, which feels good both on my sore back. It feels good on my external prostate. It feels good on my cock and balls.
We didn't do that for your sore back, though. We didn't.
Oh, no, I did that on my own.
Oh, okay.
That's for study, for science. And then we also did the Hitachi Magic Wand. Now, the Hitachi didn't have as much vibration. The head had like a little hollow spot in it, so we couldn't really put the pressure that I needed to. And for some reason, they don't have, like, the silicone doesn't extend down into the neck, which actually increases the vibration. So when you have like a longer piece of silicone going from the head all the way down in towards the cone area, it creates more of a vibration.
Not only do we like the Wonder O Wand for like boring, ow, my muscles hurt. I mean, it really is a body massager. It doesn't say it's a genital massager, even though it's sold by the genital massage store.
But it feels great on my back. It feels great on my cock and balls. It feels great on clits. It feels great on pussies. It's awesome.
Yay. So not only is it our favorite, and I really like it too. I like it on all my parts, on my nether regions. You can get it for 20% off, at castlemegastore.com with code Sonny, SUNNY, at checkout. But you can also get one for free. Because
how can I get one for free, Sonny?
Well, you already have like 3 of them, Ken.
I have one.
Really?
I have one.
I have one, and we're married, so
I have one.
We have 2. And we have one more that's still in the package that has never been opened that we are going to give away. So listen up.
Because if it was open, that would cost extra.
Yeah. I wonder if I could make money selling my used sex toys.
You don't want to go there.
I don't. It's not on brand for me. It's not on brand.
No, that's.
But people would pay money.
Yeah, they would.
I could tell what people Google
totally
search for me. They all want to see me naked and they want me to do porn.
They really want to see your boobs.
They want to know how big my boobs are. Like, what is Sonny Megatron's breast size or bra size is like a huge search term, which is kind of funny. Anyway, they want to know how they can get their free Wonder O wand in our giveaway. It is $125 value. Well, less, I mean, if you were to buy it using the 20% off coupon. But go to
normally $125 retail.
Yes. Go to sonnymegatron.com/wand giveaway. All one word. sonnymegatron.com/wand giveaway. And there's a little contest widget, right? So you fill in the thing. You're like, oh, yeah, follow me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And all the little tasks that you do, you get another, like, name in the hat. So we're going to have this giveaway going all through October. On October 31st, it'll be over. And then November 1st, we're going to go on Facebook Live and Periscope will double dip it.
Day of the Dead. We're giving away a vibrator.
Yes, we will go and we will pick the winner and hopefully it'll be you. And also when you go to the contacts page, you can see the fine print, like you got to be over 18, you got to be U.S. resident, da, da, da. So go to the contest page, read all the stuff and go win.
In addition to that, we've got another giveaway for you. Castle Megastore is giving away an Angela White fleshlight and a signed copy of the adult film Angela Loves Women 3, signed by both Angela White and Abella Danger. That giveaway runs through 10/15, and Castle will announce the winner on 10/17. You can find the online giveaway form on castlemegastore.com or see the link to that giveaway in our show notes. Good luck, friends.
Yay! And I think what we're going to do...
And I love the thought of both Angela White's pussy and Abella Danger's pussy.
The thought of what about their pussies?
About there being a fleshlight modeled after them.
Oh.
So this is modeled after Angela White. They actually did the molding and everything, and the inside isn't like her, but the labia is just like her.
Nice. I don't know. Fleshlights are going to do nothing for me except for when I teach cunnilingus class, I could be like, lick here without actually having to lick a real vulva. Not that I don't mind licking a real vulva. It's just not on brand for me to do in public.
Not in public.
But I think we're going to give away something every month, Ken. Every single month, as you listen to American Sex Podcasts, you will listen for ways to win stuff because we love you. And we love that you're supporting us. We love doing this podcast for you. You guys are supporting us on patreon.com. That's patreon.com/American Sex. If you're wondering what that is, go there. So keep spreading the word. Tell your friends. Talk about us on social media. All that fun stuff. Give us reviews. Subscribe. We love you. Thank you. Now on to our... I'm
so excited about today's episode, by the way. This is going to be one of the better ones.
I am. This is with a person, and I'm not going to tell you who. I'm going to keep you in suspense. It is with a person that I have seen on TV a bunch of times. For years, I've seen this person on TV, and they were so intriguing and so I want to be that person's friend and I want to sit down and talk to them. And now kind of we're friends now. And I'm really excited.
And it's so cool because the story has expanded from what originally happened. So you're going to hear it here.
Yes.
It ought to be good.
Enjoy, friends. A Scorpio born in 1972, Davecat has been tirelessly promoting positive interaction with artificial humans. Specifically, he refers to synthetics, a term which he describes artificial people with either passive bodies, such as dolls, or ones with active bodies like gynoids and androids. Dave has a bit of expertise on the subject as he shares his home with 3 beguiling life-size dolls. Sidore, pronounce it for me, Dave.
Sidore Kuroneko.
I wasn't even going to try because I would just screw it up. And she's listening and I don't want to make her mad.
She's shaking her
head. A real doll made by Abyss Creations would be his not legal, but may as well be wife. And she and Davecat have been inseparable since the year 2000, which sounds very few. The year 2000. All right. They share a mistress named Elena
Vostrikova.
Thank you.
Maybe I should be reading these.
I know, right?
Wow.
Oh, boy. A silicone woman assembled by the Russian company Anatomical Doll back in 2012, and joining them in 2016 is Miss Winter from the Chinese company Doll Suite.
You got that one right, sweetheart.
Oh,
good job.
Be quiet. Wow.
Wow.
When not going on at length about about doll this or gynoid that, this, God damn it. See, I was fine. I was doing fine. It's all your fault, Ken.
I accept
you
that.
got me all flustered.
I resemble that remark. It's okay, sweetheart. You're doing great. Doing great.
All right. Deep breath. When not going on at length about doll this or gynoid that on his Twitter feed, Davecat enjoys Japanese cuisine, playing with Destiny. God damn it. I can feel him staring at me.
Wow.
Whose Destiny is this? Is this a fourth partner that we have?
We do know a doll named Destiny, but
Ooh, see? We're having a moment here. All right.
Awkward.
So Davecat enjoys Japanese cuisine, playing Destiny with his mates, sleeping, which I love too, and writing about himself in the third person.
That's true.
Ta-da! We did it, Davecat.
It's a long, strange trip, but we finally got there in the end.
Exactly. I cannot tell you how absolutely ridiculously excited I am to talk to you. Seriously.
Thank you.
I have seen you, I want to say I saw you a few years ago on some TV show or something. And I know when I watch some TV shows with you, they kind of portray you as like, oh, this guy's weird. And I don't think you're weird at all. I was like, this guy's really cool. And one day I want to meet him. And then here we go.
Wow.
So I'm super duper excited.
Well, we are as well. I mean, doing the podcasting is fun, especially when you get people who are like-minded and open-minded and really enthusiastic, which you guys are. So, yeah.
Oh, totally. Totally.
So which of the ladies do you have with you today?
Actually, sitting right next to me, well, behind me, is my wife, Sidore, or Shi-chan. She's got a pair of headphones on, but it doesn't have a mic, so she can't say anything, but she's waving. You can't see her. She's waving.
And we're waving too, but you can't see us.
So,
radio. You know.
Radio.
Exactly.
But yeah, Shi-chan is behind me. Lenka, or Elena, is actually asleep in bed right now. She's had a hard day of staring into the middle distance. And I think Miss Winter is actually playing on her phone. She's either texting someone or looking through her files, which is what she does like 90% of the time. So, it's status quo here at Deafening Silence Plus.
I have an interesting question for you. We were doing quite a bit of research about you and all of the ladies, and I did a word search on Google that just said real life doll, and what I got was something I was never expecting. Now, we owned a Leah type model real life doll for a period of time. We no longer have her, but we did. Her name was Dory Fantaccini.
Really?
Yes. When I was looking at this, so what I wasn't expecting is real life, realistic looking infants. Have you ever thought about getting an infant for the ladies?
Yeah, well, literally we thought about it for like maybe 2 to 5 minutes. We actually, which sounded just like, well, there goes that idea. Well, the thing is, it's like we actually knew.
So you rolled a D4 and added 1 to it?
Yeah, basically. Rolled a D4, it fell off the table. It's under the fridge, as a matter of fact. But it was the sort of thing, we actually knew someone who, it was an acquaintance of ours who actually made reborn dolls, and she had offered to make one for myself and Shi-chan that would look like, what if Shi-chan and I actually had a biological child?
That's amazing.
We thought it was a really cool idea, but then it came to the conclusion where it's just like, yeah, but where will we put this baby? In a drawer? Because that's where people put babies, right?
Yeah.
Drawers, I think it would be the sort of thing where it's just like, the joke, quote unquote, the narrative, quote unquote, would go a bit too far if there was a baby. Although it is funny because we actually know an iDollator couple on Twitter, and there's like an organic woman, her synthetic wife, another synthetic, two other synthetics, and about 4 or 5 reborns.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a big family.
I can't imagine what the stickers on the back of their car looks like.
Can't even see anything through the back windscreen. All the baby on board stickers just obscure the vision.
A lot of people listening right now are probably going, what is happening? And on their minds is probably, all right, here's this like really seemingly nice guy who has, you know, in their mind what they're calling synthetic or fake girlfriends. And what's going on? How did you get here? How did you go from like cute little Davecat, you know, growing up in Michigan, and now you have like 3 synthetic women that you live with, and one has been your wife for what, nearly 20 years. How did we get here?
How did we get here? Well, I've always had a fascination with artifice. Anything fake is something I've always thought was like really cool. Just the idea of like someone being able to create something that looks like something that you'd find in nature, where it's like, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at the fake bonsai that we've got on our kitchen table. I mean, if you were to come into our place and see that bonsai, and had you not known that it was fake, it would have been like, oh, that's quite nice. How often do you water that? Never. But like, you know, it's extending the whole artifice thing to like actual people too. It's just like, I've just been fascinated with like humanoid robots since literally like grade school, like 2nd or 3rd grade, where it's just like, you know, I always mention the anecdote of me like imagining my French grade school teacher as being a gynoid, you know, what would be the, you know, the machinery that would be inside of her artificial body to make her move her arms, to make her turn her head, to make her speak, that sort of thing. And, you know, we have something that like looks alive and may as well be alive, but is definitely manufactured. I mean, I find that, I mean, it's subversive in a good way. It brings across a lot of creativity, because, I mean, obviously there's a lot of creativity in sculpting and engineering that goes into, you know, things that are artificial and look non-artificial. And, you know, that's a really good way to embrace technology, to appreciate art, and to have something that you may not normally have in, you know, day-to-day existence, you know?
This kind of leads me into the next question that I have when we're thinking about aesthetics and the way things and people look. And one of the first things that I thought about was, I know you're a big Anglophile, I know you're a big Japanophile, did race come into play when you chose your partners?
Not really. Not as such at all. And I'll tell you, I mean, a lot of people do give a lot of the doll companies short shrift because they're like, oh, well, all the dolls are white. And it's just like, well, that's not true. You can get dolls in practically any skin tone, any skin color that you desire. Me, myself, I've always had a thing for like short, pale women, you know, as long as I can remember. That's always been like my, I don't want to say ideal because that sounds really, you know, exclusive. But I mean, that's what I go for.
But it sounds like a preference. But, you know, like I you know, exactly. The way that I see it in my mind is that Sidore is a person of color, and that she's, if I'm understanding at least correctly, is she half Japanese, half British?
That is correct. Yeah.
And is the British part of her, like, what race would that be?
Caucasian. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of generic European Caucasian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you this, when I first came up with the idea of Sidore, this would have been like 1999, late 99, early 2000, like, you know, prior to getting her, which would have been July of 2000. I had, of course, been to like hundreds, well, less than hundreds, but a number of sites of people who were taking photos of their dolls and posting them online. And one of them was a Japanese bloke who had a real doll of his own. And at the time, Abyss Creations didn't actually have too many Asian faces. In fact, the one Asian face they had didn't really look Asian at all. She looked more like Hispanic. So this bloke had actually gotten one of the like Caucasian faces, but he was passing her off as Japanese. I'm like, you know what? If he can do it, I can too. So
there's a few words that we're going to be hearing today, and I was just wondering if you could talk just real briefly about the lexicon here. Words like iDollator, Robosexual, Gynoid, Android.
Basically, a Robosexual is a person who is attracted to robots sexually, romantically, erotically, that sort of thing. They're turned on, wink, wink, by robots. You could say that they're like turned on by any sort of robot, you know, ranging from Roombas, I guess. I don't know.
Really?
I suppose. I
that sounds either really arousing or painful. I'm not sure. I've never looked at the underside of a Roomba before.
I think that's in the Venn diagram, right in the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yeah, I would guess so.
Jeez, I can't even imagine. I'm sure they're out there, but you know, hey.
I mean, maybe if the Roomba had boobs.
A booba?
A booba. A titba.
I remember seeing once somebody had like taken a little like piece of lace and a little bow and put it on top of their Roomba because it's like, oh, it's our maid, you know. It's like, oh, okay, fine, you know. But yeah, basically a robosexual is a person that's attracted to robots. And, you know, when I refer to myself as being a robosexual, I'm only really attracted to humanoid robots that look like organic women, you know. So that's a robosexual. An idolater is a person, it's kind of a vague definition. The way I use idolater is a person that is okay with the idea of life-size dolls, like in general. They don't have to have a doll themselves. They don't have to be turned on by it. Basically, if you like dolls, if you like the idea of dolls, you're an idolater. That's the way I define that.
I wanted to add something on idolater, the spelling. Like when somebody first, I think we were interviewing Dick Wound, and he used the word idolater. I thought he meant like somebody who worships idols.
Exactly.
Because it sounds the same, but this has two L's instead of one. So it's like the letter I, then the word doll, then ater.
And then it has the little I like iTunes or iPhone,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
See, the thing is, I didn't actually come up with that term. Someone came up with that term probably around 2000, 2001, and I thought it was clever and just ran with it. You know, I can't lay claim to that. I was just like, oh, I see, because we worship our doll. I see what you did there, you know, so.
Right. But the one common thread I'm hearing in all of these things, it's the humanoid aspect. You know, a lot of people may have seen, there was a documentary like I Married the Eiffel Tower, where people have objectophilia, where they are in love with or have sexual feelings for objects. For you, your wife and the other women that live with you, they are people.
Yeah.
They're right?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, they're people. I mean, they're different people, which is why I use the term synthetic, which is another one I was going to get to. But, yeah, you're fine. You're fine. No, that's basically, why I refer to like dolls and androids and gynoids and humanoid robots as synthetics, because it's basically, I view them as synthetic humans as opposed to yourself and Ken and myself. We're organic humans. We're humans of flesh and blood, whereas humanoid robots are humans that are made in a studio or made in a factory or whatever. I mean, but they're people in their own right. Android, pretty much everyone should be familiar with. Android is a robot that is now, see, here's a tricky bit. An android, as far as most people think, is a humanoid robot that can either look male or look like a female. That's incorrect. Technically speaking, an android is a robot that looks like a humanoid male, because andros, I really need to look into this. It's a Greek word. I'm not sure the spelling the pronunciation, but andros means male, whereas a gynoid is a robot that looks like a humanoid female. And basically, the way I explain it is that you've got the term androgynous, which is something that incorporates both male and female characteristics.
Well, it's interesting. This sort of harkens me back to first edition Dungeons & Dragons, when there were delineations between the two types of sphinxes, and that you had an androsphinx, which was masculine, and the gynosphinx, which was feminine.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, so there you go. See?
Wow, this was not taking me to a fun place. It was taking me back to like freshman year high school English class, where they're like, learn your Greek roots. And I'm like, oh, my brain hurts. All right. Yours was much more fun, Ken.
Yeah.
Much more fun.
Exactly.
All right. So now I'm one of those people where I'm like, I want to get to the inner creamy center of Davecat. Okay. So we're going to go back to Davecat. You had this fascination with robots,
yes,
with synthetic people as a kid, which isn't all that abnormal. I was fascinated with cats and liverwurst. Like, we all have our thing when we're kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
So somewhere you got older and you bridged the gap to really realizing you had an attraction to synthetics, and then to getting your first, maybe not doll, but your first synthetic. So what was that? That would have been July of 2000.
And prior to that, my best friend Montalee had actually showed me the Abyss Creations website, that would have been late 98. And she had known that I'd always been attracted to gynoids and things of that nature. And she was like, this is the sort of site that you really need to see. You need to come check this out. And I was like, all right, fine. Let's see what this is all about. And I actually had to go to her workplace with her after hours, because this is the sort of thing that I don't think either of us had internet at our homes, but she had it at her workplace. And this is back in the day when you could actually get away with not safe for work sites at work.
Yeah, I loved then. Oh, I loved like 1997 or whatever. Yeah.
It was a long time ago. Yeah. And she had showed me the Abyss Creations website, and I was just like, wow, this is everything I've always wanted, and like just the various dolls on there alone were attractive in and of themselves. But then she had showed me the Leia type. And Ken, you may remember seeing her. She had pale skin, long black hair, and brown eyes, and red lips. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and was tied up. I was just like, oh, ooh, gonna need to save these photos. These are fantastic. Well, this is a goal. And then, of course, I saw the price, and I'm like, I don't see how anyone could afford that. Well, yeah,
they're not cheap.
They're not
cheap.
They're
very cost prohibitive.
Yeah, it's weird because like we're in 2017, we're at a situation where it's just like there are some companies where it's like there's sort of a middle ground as far as price. There are other companies which are a bit pricier. And then there are other companies which are considerably less pricey. So if you're just getting into like the iDollator world now, you have so many options, as far as price, selection, options, that sort of thing. But back then, I was like, $4,999. What do I look like? Some sort of millionaire?
Yeah. That was like the price of, I don't know, a Yugo back then or something, right?
You said Yugo.
I did.
Actually, it was more than a Yugo.
Yeah, probably. But, I've actually gotten more use out of my wife, and she's looking at me like you just said use,
Of course, in an endearing way.
Yes. She's probably gonna throttle me in my sleep or something. No, sweetie. But, and then, that's the other thing. How many Yugos do you see on the road these days?
That's
None.
true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Exactly.
Now, as you were getting to this point, though, you had friends that showed you the website and they're like, hey, cool, you really like this. Was there any point in it, at least this evolution of Dave, where any of your friends were like, this is weird? Or you might even been like, is this weird? Like, did you have to go through some working out with yourself, or were you always just like, I'm well adjusted, this is cool, this is me?
I've always been well adjusted in my bizarreness. That's my thing. I'm just like, I don't mind not fitting in, or fitting in mostly but not completely with things. So, and then like pretty much 99% of my friends are just like, yeah, that's Davecat. He's always been into like weird stuff, and we don't always understand him most of the time, but hey, he's not causing any harm to anyone. So it's just like, and then prior to that, my best friend and I used to actually like, this would have been like during high school. I had bought like one of those, this may be a little weird for you. Fisher-Price used to make this camera called the PXL 2000.
Okay.
And it was very weird because the technology was like just out there, because he didn't put in like regular videotape. He used like cassette tape, audio cassette tape. And like somehow magically it would transform that into audio and video. And
what?
I had one. I'll send you a link. And these are like the holy grail now. I sold mine because I was a fool. And if you see them on eBay, if they're less than like, $600, you're lucky.
Wow.
But I had one of those. My best friend and I would actually like do these little mini films, like kind of like along the lines of like what you would see on Letterman on Friday nights. And he used to like run those, oh, look at me, I'm at the dentist being wacky, that sort of thing. So, and we had this little company called S&D Films. His name was Sean and my name is Davecat. It still is. But,
but he's not Sean? Like,
no.
Okay. All right.
But like at the time when we were doing this, I was like kind of getting full tilt in my whole mannequin fascination, because that was the closest thing I had to like, dolls. Dolls didn't even exist back then, and gynoids were a fleeting notion. And there was this place in downtown Detroit called Mario's Mannequins. And I would go there on I'd say maybe a monthly basis. This is back around like 1990, because I was actually taking like photography classes at Wayne State University. So it's just like, well, I've got this assignment and I got to take some still lifes. So let me get over to Mario's Mannequins and, I don't know, spend an hour or two like in a showroom just taking photos.
Yeah.
And eventually I just bought a mannequin of my own, and she became the mascot for the company, quote unquote, that Sean and I had. And we named her Sandy because S and D.
Oh.
I didn't actually come up with that. Sean did. I was just like, oh, that's brilliant. We got to do that. So, yeah. So, I mean, the closest thing I had to, like, a synthetic woman in my life would have been Sandy. And, you know, as much as I like looking at fiberglass is not something you can be intimate with, because I'm not a masochist.
Right. So. It sounds very uncomfortable. Maybe even more uncomfortable than a Roomba. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. You know,
I would say way more uncomfortable than a Roomba.
Yeah.
Do you still have Sandy?
Yes. As a matter of fact, Sandy, unfortunately, is standing in the closet with, like, a rubbish bag over her to keep the dust off. And the stand is in, like, I don't know what's happened with her stand, so it's like she has to lean up against something. And it's just like, I feel really bad, because it's just like, she's hidden, you know, she's not out in the open, but it's just like, I gotta find a place to put her, you know. But yeah, she's a remnant of, like, you know, a more innocent wink time. And
So I have a question for you, and we're going to get a little dark here.
Oh,
you're organic. Eventually you're going to die. What happens to your ladies when you pass away?
Well, I have a plan sort of earmarked for my wife. Shi-chan is going to be, well, I say sort of earmarked. What's basically going to happen with me is that I'm going to be cremated, and I'm going to have my cremains placed inside of Sidore's head. Her head is actually hollow, like pretty much all real dolls' heads are hollow, and she is going to be wearing something called a mofuku, which is a funeral kimono. It's all black, so keeping with her aesthetic sense. You know? And she'll be seated in a seat somewhere, haven't determined where yet. She'll have like a plaque in her hands that says, "How terrible it is to love something that death can touch."
Oh, I'm getting seriously, I'm getting a little misty-eyed right now. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I mean, basically the premise behind that is that, you know, Sidore is always on my mind in life, so I will always be on her mind in death.
Aww.
So, Elena is earmarked for, she's going to be moving in with a fellow iDollator / collaborator that you may have heard of. Her name's Amber Hawk Swanson. She's actually a performance artist, and I came to know her through the fact that she had a real doll made of herself, and
wow,
married the doll in Vegas and like used her as a partner / artistic muse.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So, and we're really good friends. As a matter of fact, we're going to be hanging out like next month at Dollstock, which is like a gathering of fellow idolaters.
Oh, so. that is amazing. And what's Miss Winter going to be doing? Is she just going free range?
She's not a chicken. I mean,
she's gonna hit the road. She'll, you know, be out on the road with like a little hobo bag, a little stick with a little polka dot bag at the end. You know, I don't know. I haven't gotten to that point yet. We don't know exactly what's gonna happen with her. Worst comes to worst, there's a fellow idolater that lives like 20 minutes away from us, and maybe she'll go with them. I'm not entirely sure. We haven't gotten to that point. I'll tell you this: the whole plan with Lenka, that only cropped up earlier this year. So
interesting. Well, hey, real quick, we're going to take a little bit of
take a break.
Wait,
yes.
Are we not taking a
no,
break?
No, we
now?
are taking a break, but I had a good transition. I had a good
Okay, use your fucking. Okay, we're going to go
Davecat,
back in time.
Wait. No, I have a question. I have a question.
We're going back in time.
I have a question. Davecat, do you get into these kind of arguments?
No, because his wife isn't organic like you.
Well, let me tell you. Sweetie sometimes gets upset that I like go to bed so late because she's like, you know, you're not getting any younger. You need to be in bed at a decent time / on a consistent time. And I'm like, I know, sweetie, but I've got to finish this thing in Destiny. You know, the strike isn't going to finish itself, you know, and it's like, oh my God, it's like 5 a.m. You need
cares.
To go to bed.
She cares.
She does. She's like, you know, my conscience sometimes where she's just like, you know what, you need to think about what you're doing. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. You're not wrong, sweetie. But oh my God, I can't put this controller down.
I feel your pain.
So we are going to go to a break, but that leaves me with something really interesting that we're going to talk about when we get back is people listening right now are like, what is wrong with these people? This is not real. They're acting like it's real. So when we get back, I want to talk about how do you separate fantasy from reality and all of that stuff. So
the gray area.
Yeah, so we'll be right back. Can
Castle Megastore. Once you see their sex toys, you'll want more. I have no idea if Castle Megastore actually has a theme song, but I really dig Castle Megastore, so that's my gift to you, Castle, your very own theme song. And you, listeners, get a gift too. If you go to castlemegastore.com and use discount code SUNNY, that's SUNNY, when you check out, you will receive 20% off your order. That's amazing! Castle Megastore. When you get your sex toys, you'll be on the floor because you'll be using them so much and they'll be so awesome and you'll save so much money. You'll get more than one and then you'll climax for a really long time and you'll just be passed out and you'll be like, oh my God, give me water. That was the best orgasm ever. Hey, psst. Did you know that American Sex has a Patreon page? Patreon.com is a great way for you to show your support for this podcast. It works kind of like, I don't know, funding for National Public Radio or how PBS works. If you like our work and the fact that we provide it to the world free of charge, you can help financially support it. And depending on how much you pledge, you might even get a nifty, cool reward. Oh, and everybody who pledges gets access to our private Patreon feed that's just for supporters. So you thinking about it? You want to know more? Check out the details at patreon.com/American Sex. I know you're fancy, and I know you've been eyeing some of those luxury sex toys, haven't you, you frisky little fox? Well, I also know that you enjoy a good discount, don't you, dear? You now can get 20% off your entire order plus free shipping at luxury sex toy retailer Lalo.com with discount code SUNNY. Yes, dear, you heard me right. 20% off anything your little heart, or, well, other parts, desire at Lelo.com using discount code SUNNY. Yes, dear, you can thank me later.
We also have whisper arguments sometime, which is awesome.
Okay.
Arguing is our love language.
It totally is, yeah. So, Ken,
It's like ASMR.
ASM arguing. Oh,
ASM arguing.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I like that.
Oh my God, I think I just peed in my pants a little. All right.
See, that's something that they'd never do.
I'm sure if you dig real deep, I'm sure if you know what? If there's a niche, fill it. If there isn't one, make one, then fill it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right?
This is brilliant. We're going to be rich, Ken, with ASM arguing.
ASMarguments.com.
All right, so when we get back from the break, do you want to lead us in or do you want me to?
I thought we're back from the break at this point.
Oh, hey, we're back from the break.
We're back.
We're back.
So here's what happens, listeners, so you know how we make the sausage is when the break is going on, we ASM argue and whisper.
That's our new
So that's what we were
TM.
doing.
That's our new word.
Person puts their headphones on. Oh, ASM arguing. This sounds interesting.
Yeah.
5 minutes later, I'm taking these headphones off.
We seriously need to start doing that. We have to get the special ASMR, you mean, that,
the head,
microphone.
Yeah, yeah.
With the ears.
What are you fucking doing? Oh, I don't know. I can't put up with this shit anymore. 20 minutes later, why did I subscribe to this channel?
Totally. All right, so we wanted to get into the fantasy versus reality. People are listening going, you know, hey, this is not real. Is this guy living in some kind of fantasy land? What's wrong with him? So, and like I said, you're obviously from talking to you and what I've seen you're a super well-adjusted guy. You're kind of your average everyday person, you know, aside from having synthetic wife and, you know, if people didn't see your home life, they'd be like, Dave's a cool guy. And then they're like, wait, he's got, you know, what's going on? So how do you separate fantasy from reality?
It's very easy. It's very easy. It's a little easy. It's kind of easy. It's for the most part. I don't know what I'm doing.
Are you ASM arguing with yourself?
I guess. I suppose I am. No, it's the thing is, it's like, you know, I've always been of the opinion that if you have something that looks human, something that has a high verisimilitude to being human. You know, statues, it's a little hard because obviously you know they're statues. Mannequins, it's less difficult. You've got the rigidity of their fiberglass flesh, but I mean, they at least look like people at very first glance. But with dolls, I mean, you look at them and it's just like, wow, okay, if I didn't know that was a thing made out of silicone, then I would have thought that was an actual person. Mm-hmm. And, you know, basically I believe in treating things along the lines of like dolls and gynoids and androids as people in and of themselves. I don't refer to my wife or mistress's girlfriend as things. You know, I don't refer to any dolls or any synthetics as things. I think it's a little silly. And the whole point of them being shaped like humans is to be able for us organic humans to form a connection with them and view them as partners or co-workers or friends or lovers or whatever.
Right.
You know, that's the whole point why they look like they do. So, but the thing is, it's like, I'm more willing to say, right, well, they've got internal monologues, you know, they've got histories, they've got backstories, this, that, the other thing. It makes it easier for me to relate to them as far as being partners or lovers, that sort of thing. It's just like, oh yeah, Lenka had like a really dodgy upbringing. You know, she has an older brother who the family doted on and they like just treated her like crap. Miss Winter is from a town that's somewhere near Toronto, but closer to London in Canada. And she saw us on like a program and thought it would be really cool to move in with us. Sidore is half English, half Japanese. She used to work at Wernham Hogg. She used to be the bassist in a band that was somewhere between The Cure and Josie and the Pussycats. You know, all of these things make for an interesting person. That's person with air quotes around it.
So she was in Shonen Knife.
Oh, God. That is a... Wow. Are they still around?
Yes.
They certainly are.
We saw them
yeah, we have
a
some
couple
stuff
years
from their
ago.
opener. Yeah.
Nice.
They're awesome. There's a constantly changing, like the band members are always kind of like going back and forth and, you know, always
I remember
changing.
one of them retired.
Yeah. And one of them passed away in a car accident.
Really?
The drummer, yeah.
Oh, crap. It's kind of like Guitar
We keep
Wolf.
coming back to death. What is this?
I don't know.
Ken, you're dark today.
Well, you know what? I'm a Scorpio. He's a Scorpio. So we got
I'm a Scorpio
death
rising.
energy. I know, right?
Elena's a Scorpio.
Oh, see?
That's why.
All right.
We're everywhere. And you can't see Shi-chan. She's shaking her head. She's a Cancer, and she has to put up with us.
Yes. So, all right. I saw a quote. I don't know if it's a quote that you said or a quote about you, but you said, you think some synthetic partners are ideal for those who don't want to deal with humans' inconsistencies. What about the people who say, Dave, are you doing this because, you know, these are placeholders for when you get an organic partner, or that you need to have an organic partner to be fulfilled, and this is just, you know, stop doing this is silliness and it's preventing you from getting on with your life? What do you say to that?
I say that they're wrong. You know, I mean, not exactly like that, but I imply that they're wrong. I mean, not everyone's the same. You know, and then of course, with human civilization being as old as it is, the mean standard is if you have an organic partner and you want an organic partner, there you go. The idea of a synthetic partner for an organic person is so new and fresh when actually it's not. I mean, we could go all the way back to Pygmalion, you know, we could go all the way back to Hans Bellmer, the artist from the 1900s who had a synthetic partner, Oskar Kokoschka, who is another organic man, synthetic woman sort of thing. The mean standard, like I said, is organic, you know, but if you throw in the idea of like an artificial person being someone's partner, then naturally 9 times out of 10 you're going to hear, yeah, that's a little weird and that's kind of fetishistic and not a real thing. So obviously you're just kind of waiting around for a real person. My response basically is, okay, yeah, my dolls are placeholders, but they're placeholders for gynoids. I am waiting for the technology to drop in price to get to the point where I have a walking, talking version of Sidore or Elena or Miss Winter. Well, all of them, ideally. I like organics. I happen to know quite a few myself.
Hey, watch what you're saying. You're speaking to a couple of them, you know.
Exactly. Oh my God, I had no idea. I hope I But the thing is, it's just like, you know, as far as the experiences I've had with organic partners, as far as like, I've never had like a relationship where I've had like a girlfriend, a dedicated girlfriend. I've always been the guy on the side for a girl, you know. So those relationships were great, but they obviously lacked something where it was just like, oh, okay, well, can we be an actual couple now? As opposed to, you know, I'm the guy you see when you don't see your boyfriend. So I've just found that like I'm more comfortable, I'm more attracted to, I'm more in line with a synthetic partner than I am with an organic one, you know.
So some of your favorite artists are William S. Burroughs, Oscar Wilde, Andy Warhol, and I noticed that there's one similarity. that the three of those artists in particular have, and that is extreme sexual experimentation with all genders. Would you ever bring an android into the mix as opposed to a gynoid if, say, that would be complimentary for Miss Winter or for you or for any of the people in your poly family?
I never thought about that, actually. Yeah, because see, the thing is, it's like, I mean, there's only so much, like, 4 people can do in a bed. No, actually, no, that's the exact number. And I'm sure, the math has already been done at this point. But, yeah, as far as, like, myself, I wouldn't really be attracted to a male robot or doll. It'd be cool to have one around, but male dolls are rather heavy. As far as, like, being able to, like, satisfy one of my dolls, that would be interesting. He wouldn't be satisfying my wife or my mistress, I don't think, because they're kind of earmarked, and, my wife is my wife. But as far as Miss Winter...
But like Miss Winter.
Yeah, so she wouldn't feel left out. See, officially, according to the narrative, Miss Winter is Elena's girlfriend, and technically speaking, Shi-chan and I are not allowed to touch her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The real story behind that is I got Miss Winter with posable joints so that, like, if I'm having fun with her in bed, her joints are going to get loose and then she's not going to be able to pose as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's basically what it comes down to. But as far as, like, having her, like, Winter not feeling left out and bringing an android or a male doll into the mix, realistically, that would be interesting, but a little time consuming.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And it's interesting to me how the pragmatic has become practical in your narrative with this, with, if there was joint issues with Miss Winter, how that developed into part of the whole storyline that you have.
Yeah.
Now, did you start off poly?
That's the thing. It's like I've only really come to the conclusion that I'm poly literally earlier this year.
Wow.
And it was a discussion that I had with Shi-chan. It was just like, the whole thing is like, I don't think of myself as polyamorous. I've known poly people for the past, I want to say, like 10 years or so. Curiously enough, one of my friends he's starting to come out as poly as well. And it's just like, yeah, well, hope your wife knows. But the thing is, it's just like, I never really considered myself, I never really said I'm poly. I never really, said that is a label that can be stuck onto me. But, Shi-chan was just like, Davecat, you've got to face the fact that you have 3 female dolls, and your affection is spread almost equally amongst all 3 of those dolls. If you're not poly, then you're lying to yourself. I'm like, I guess it's an easy classification. Maybe by some standards, I can't really be officially poly, quote unquote, but it's just like, it feels more comfortable to me for me to say that, yes, that is a way for me to find myself, because I love my wife, and people often say, well, so what about your other wives? It's like, no, Miss Winter and Elena will never be my wives. That's why Sidore is wearing a wedding band.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Elena is our mistress that Sidore and I share, and we love her very, very much.
So is that a solid DS relationship with the 3 of you? The 4 of you, actually. It's like she the center spoke of a DS relationship.
And DS dominant submissive for listeners.
I would have to say, yeah. Actually, thanks for bringing that up, because I never really thought about that. Because, yeah, that's what, yeah. God, yeah. Because it's like, I have fun with Elena. Sidore has fun with Elena while I'm at work, or, whatever. And basically, in that context, Elena is submissive, but when she's with Miss Winter, she's the dominant.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, she is a spoke. Yeah,
Ooh.
She's the hub. Yeah, see?
Look at that.
I like that. We're all learning about it.
I know, right? I heard the light bulbs like going...
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Wow.
So
awesome.
What about folks that say, because you had said, when it came to organic relationships, that you were kind of always the side piece and you never really had the success that you probably would have wanted to, and synthetics are more your speed. What about the folks that say, you know what, you're objectifying women, you're, making them do what you want, or you want to control women or have women that don't talk back? What do you say to that?
Yeah, I would also say that they're wrong. The party line, basically, for those of us in the iDollator community, and I'm sure in the Robosexual community as well, is that it's not a case of us objectifying women. It's a case of the personification of objects.
Okay.
We, by and large, the iDollators that I know myself included, we treat our dolls like queens, basically. You know, they're very well respected. They're very well taken care of. We consider them as people. I mean, not everyone, obviously, but, you know, the majority of the idolaters that I know personally. As far as, like, you know, the objectification, really, of organic women, I don't see that at all as what's going on. That's not specifically what I'm setting out to do, because I think of the context of, like, I'm happiest with a synthetic woman because there's no pressure, there's no fear of rejection. I mean, that was a large part of me, like, just being the guy on the side with the organic women I was in affairs with, because I was just too afraid to, like, ask and say, would you like for me to be your prime boyfriend? And then hearing no, you know, it's like, if you don't ask, you don't get rejected. Right. That's basically what it boils down to. And with, you know, a doll or a gynoid, it's just a case of always having, you know, a situation where it's just like, oh yeah, things are okay. Things are great between us. There's no fear. There's no concerns, you know? So it's not a case of me saying, no, I don't want an organic woman because I can't tell her what to do. It's, no, I'm not as keen on having an organic woman as my partner, because things can just go askew. The woman that I shared a house with for 4 months, that was basically the condensed version of the story, is that I met a lass through a mutual friend, and we seemed to hit it off. She was goth. She looked great. She seemed to work in a lot of jobs that were clothing optional. You know? And she seemed to be having a lot of difficulty with her boyfriend at the time. And I, you know, as we were friends, and she always said that I was her best friend, I was like, you know what, let's get you out of this bad situation. Why don't you come and stay with me for a while? And she considered Sidore to be her synthetic sister. Right. That's how close they seem to be. And basically after a time, we decided, let's get a house, because that way we have more room. And it turns out, again, long story short, that she was a pathological liar and addicted to cocaine. No. So there was that. Right.
You know what's interesting is, you know, as I was preparing for the interview, and I was really thinking, you know, sitting there thinking, trying to put myself in your place. There's a big part of me that understands, you know, exactly how you've situated your life. But there's that little part of me that's like, I still don't get it. But then I had a revelation. I thought to myself, all right, Ken and I, we've been together for 9 years. And after 2 very horribly failed relationships, I feel like I finally found my one. However, even though we have a really good relationship, there are times where, you know, I know myself the best. Nobody's ever going to know myself the way I know me. And there might be times where it's like, I feel like he knows everything about me. He knows me inside and out. And then there's this one thing I stumble upon where I try to explain to him and he just doesn't get it. And I'm like, and then that gives you the realization, like, the person that you're the closest to, that you really love, that you have a great relationship, there's still things about you they're never going to understand. Exactly. And I was like,
is this about fluffily?
No, that's one of many things, Ken. No, but, and I thought to myself, wait a minute. Davecat doesn't ever have to have that feeling, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, that can be the loneliest feeling. Even though you're with someone, you're like, they're never going to quite get all of me.
Exactly.
So is that's part of it?
That is a huge part of it. I always like to say that basically when two organic people meet, there's the person that you fall in love with and the person that they actually are. You know, and it could be a situation where it's just like you go for years and it's just like, oh yeah, you know, he's great and she's fantastic and that sort of thing. And then there's that one bump. It's just like, oh, but I thought that you, well, you know, right. And there's that idealism that every single one of us has with the partners that we seek and like the people that we date and whatnot. Is just like, yeah, the idealism versus a reality. But as far as like, you know, with synthetic partners, I mean, it's all idealism made real, I guess you could say. You know, there's never going to be a situation where it's just like, oh God, well, I thought that my doll was doing this when she's actually doing that. And it's realistically, obviously she's not doing anything at all, but, you know, weighing down a chair, you know? So yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of contentment that comes from that sort of situation, that sort of relationship where you're always going to be in tune with your synthetic partner because there's never really going to be any conflicts or any speed bumps in your relationship, it's going to be smooth sailing. Now, a lot of people will say that, like, the whole thing is like, well, if you don't have some sort of conflict or challenge, you can't really grow as a person. But the thing is, I always say that you can find conflict anywhere. If you, like, step out of your house and, like, I don't know, go to the car wash and something isn't right, or go to work and you're in a situation with your boss that is wanting you to do this, that, the other thing.
Oh, fuck, just go on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you. You know,
Seriously.
you don't even have to leave your bed.
No,
you know,
you
and it's like I've always thought that, like, the one person that should be, you know, by your side 100% of the time should be your partner.
Right.
You know, I mean, you can find conflict anywhere, but your partner should always be there.
Is this an elaborate way of you marrying yourself?
Some could say that. Some could say that. Some. I mean, well, you'd never really know anyone else genuinely. Like you said, you know, there's always going to be something about, like, the other person that is going to be, like, that's always going to elude you. But if, like, you marry yourself, that, well, you'll save on expenses, I guess. I have nothing but a flip answer for that really question.
What do you mean save on expenses? It's like your half of the rent and your half of the rent. Like, you know.
That is that. Wait, I have to pay rent twice now? Shit. Oh, my God. Now I've got to get a job.
If you divorce yourself gets half.
Exactly. This is your side of the house, and that's my side of the house, which is your side of the house. So, you know.
What's yours is mine, right?
Exactly.
So there's been a couple of recent articles that have been popping up in the news lately, and I'm sure that you've heard of these and probably had a million friends forwarding them to you. But Elon Musk and Dr. Nick Patterson of Davecat University in Australia have both been alluding to the fact that when synthetics get to the point where they have, like, minimal artificial intelligence, that it can be hacked potentially and cause a Westworld-type murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you legitimately think any of that is a worry, or is that just somebody, like, blowing sunshine up somebody's ass to sell newspapers?
Yeah. The second one. That's the clickbait machine is running on all cylinders. Because, I mean, good Lord. I'll tell you this. One of the things I'm going to be doing next month, which would be October of 2017, is actually getting out to Abyss Creations and seeing and meeting Harmony, the Realbotics sex robot. I hate that term. The doll with the face that can move and she can speak and that sort of thing.
Ooh.
I'm actually going to meeting her, shaking her hand, that sort of thing. How are you doing? Excellent. You know, because I've known about her for the past year. As a matter of fact, some fellow idolaters actually saw her last year and I couldn't go because of circumstances. It's just like, damn it! You know, so I'm making a point to go this year.
You know, they should be cutting you a deal on this. You have done more for their industry than any one synthetic or organic human being combined.
You'd be all over the podcast and the TV shows. You'd be like free advertising.
Seriously, mention it to them because you, at the very least, deserve a huge discount.
Play them this podcast. You know, little hint, little subliminal hint right there.
I like that. But, like, the thing is, people go on and about, like, oh, well, you know, your sex robot can be hacked and could murder you in your sleep. And it's just like, okay, I'll tell you this. The only way your doll can murder you in your sleep is if, you know, she falls on you and somehow breaks your neck in a horrible accident gone awry, you know. Because, I mean, if someone does somehow manage to hack one of the current existing roboticized dolls, my God, someone's hacked my doll. How can you tell? She's raising her eyebrows more than she normally is.
And they've turned into little knives.
Exactly. You know, eyebrow knives. But it's just like, I mean, there's really nothing there. It's like, you know, the current, like, there's actually like 2 or 3 companies that have, like, technology to, like, make roboticized dolls. And it's like, when I say roboticized dolls, I'm talking about, like, her face can move.
So, or they might have, like, a Bluetooth, like, audio response system or something
exactly.
like that.
So it's just like, you know.
I mean, she could love you to death. That's one thing. There could be, like, a sexual component there where, like, you have a heart attack from too much good stuff.
If I'm going to go, that's going to be the way I'm going to go. Smothered by boobs and feet. You know, that sort of thing. You know?
But do you foresee in your lifetime gynoids with AI, with artificial intelligence, where they could be thinking, you know, almost really human.
I could say that in my lifetime, possibly. I mean, the thing is, it's like, there's this wonderful book, I'm sure you've heard of it, called Love and Sex with Robots, written by David Levy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure if it's Levy or Levy. But yeah, it came out in 2005, and he, of course, had said that, by 2050, there'll be a lot of people who are, in relationships with robots or roboticized dolls, that sort of thing. I wish you could say it's going to happen that soon. I'm going to say maybe like 2090, 2100, because the AI is taking a bit of a while to progress. But the thing is, when I'd actually made that take on his prediction, that was in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2005, I had no idea that Abyss Creations is going to be coming up with like, a doll that can move her mouth and eyes and speak. That was not in anyone's mind.
Right.
So I would have to reassess my prediction that maybe in 2050, 2060, we will have, we're not talking like, super high tech AI, but I mean, we will have AI where we can actually like have limited conversations.
Right. Would you want one?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm saving up for one now, technically speaking. In 2020, that'll be the 20th anniversary of Sidore and I's partnership,
Aww.
and I am getting her a new body and hopefully getting her one of those robotics heads.
Ken?
Yes.
For our 20th anniversary, can I get like a tummy tuck then? I can get a new body too.
No.
A little saggy down there.
Wow.
Oh man, get my boobs lifted a little.
But I like you the way you look, and I like you as you age.
Aww.
That's part of the thing that I like about organics is that I like what age and gravity and all of the things about being an organic do to your body, because to me that's like tiger stripes.
So you like my saggy grandma tits, Ken?
I do. But I'm sure it's
character.
I'm sure it's the same. Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. I'm sure that like every now and again some of the skin gets a little bit stretched or a little bit torn on your ladies, and there's like individual marks, and there's that individuality between one entity to the next that makes it a little bit more romantic, because I'm sure that Sidore has like a couple of bumps more than say Miss Winter does, because she's your most recent.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. I mean, the fact that like I remember with Shichan's first body, they were making the dolls out of tin-based silicone as opposed to the platinum-based silicone that they use now, which means it was softer but less durable. And I remember like maybe half a year, or like maybe 2 years into our relationship, she like developed like a dent in one of her breasts because basically gravity was taking the silicone and pulling it down as it would any other thing. It's just like, oh, that's character.
Yeah.
It didn't depress me at all. I mean, there was the fact that it's just like, oh, okay, well, she's just going to have to wear a sports bra to bed every night now. But it was just like, I mean, it's a uniqueness of character. There's like bits and bobs like on every single one of my doll companions that are just unique and special, and their bodies can tell stories in and of themselves.
Have you ever thought about having something change in one of the dolls, as far as like having larger breasts or increasing the size of areolas or anything that it was a sexual component for you, like actually changing them to fit your sexual needs?
Not so much. I mean, basically, I'll tell you this, with like Shichan's current body and the body that she's going to be getting in a couple of years, her skin tone is not stock. It's not like it's custom. I mean, that's really the only thing. I mean, I love Sweetie's boobs. As a matter of fact, she's got like the sort of like nipples and areola that Helmut Newton really liked, really small ones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect for me, I guess maybe there'd be some changes that I'd possibly like to have done with like Elena, if I were able to get Elena a new body. Unfortunately, the thing is the main sculptor and owner of Anatomical Doll passed away earlier this year, and we don't know what's going to happen with the company.
Right.
So Elena is very special in the fact that there may not be any more Anatomical Dolls ever. So,
oh wow!
As far as everyone is concerned, I mean, my dolls are absolutely perfect. I mean, again, slightly. I mean, really, not so much cosmetic changes I'd have made, but like if Shichan's body were like maybe 10 pounds lighter, that'd be a boon.
Well, she's over 100 pounds, right, or close?
Yeah, because like when the Body 2 first came out, it was like close to like 90 or so, and her current body is like close to 80, and the new body is going to be close to 70.
Wow.
I mean, it's the same body. It's just that they make the bodies with less silicone and more foam
Mm-hmm.
in the interior to make them a little lighter, We're just like, oh, thank you.
Like they're heavy.
Yeah,
they're really hard to move.
When we moved Dory around, she was so heavy.
Yeah,
like, to bring her from one place to the next.
And then we bring her outside of the house. And I think we talked about this before we started recording. So listeners, we used to have a real doll that sat in our living room, and our dog curled up on her lap. And
she was a Leia type model. That we called Dory Fantaccini, which is Italian for doll.
Yes,
and we had our own Facebook page. We actually ended up giving her to somebody. Our friend Jojo Baby is a doll maker here in Chicago, and he was in love with her so much that we were not having a relationship with her. It wasn't a sexual thing for us. She hung out in our living room and played video games with me. Literally, nice. She was a video game pal, and he really, but she really meant something to him because he's like one of the premier doll makers in the United States and does all sorts of dolls, not real life dolls, but all sorts of dolls. And it meant so much to him that we ended up, and please don't think less of us, Davecat, but we ended up trading her for another.
My God, you're not getting wagon wheels for her.
We got a stuffed baby grizzly bear out of the deal. So we traded a real life doll for a stuffed baby grizzly bear.
But the baby grizzly bear does not play video games with you.
No,
oh man,
he's hanging out above us right now.
He just scares the crap out of me because he's on top of a shelf, and every once in a while I catch him out of the corner of my eye, and I think he's like a big cat or like something about to jump on me. You know?
It sounds like it's huge, but it's an infant grizzly.
It's like, really tiny,
like maybe 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
I was gonna say those still are pretty large.
He's I think he's a preemie.
Yeah, because
he's real tiny.
My pug is bigger.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of pugs and grizzlies, would you ever have a synthetic cat?
Oh God, yes. Oh my God, I'll tell you, the day that Sony announced that they were no longer making Aibo, which is that robotic dog that they used to make back in the early 2000s, I was like, damn it, I don't have it. I have the money now, but back then I couldn't afford one. And why is oh my God? There was this other company. I think they're still doing it. They make like a robotic cat. They have two types. One's called like the Yume Neko Celeb, and the new one is like the Yume Neko Smile. And I'm like trying to get one for under $500. And the thing is, it's just like, I mean, they're great, but they don't really do that much. I mean, but then, somebody say, well, Davecat, your dolls don't do that much. But it's just like, well, it's just slightly different.
Yeah, but we have a robotic velociraptor that wanders around the house every now and again.
Yeah.
And all it can do is like growl at the pug and bump into walls.
The dogs bark at it, and then we laugh. And then we put it away, and it collects dust for 2 more months.
Of course, that's how we treat our organic children as well. So I think that...
Well, there you go.
Exactly.
So we can say we love our velociraptor as much as we do our... No, we love our kids more.
No.
A little bit more.
A little bit
more.
A little bit.
Yeah, we don't get the velociraptor birthday presents.
All right,
You're not going to have that velociraptor after going to college.
Oh, so. God, thank God.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, velociraptor college is so expensive. And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up.
You got to go to grant.
Yeah. Unfortunately, our time has gone by, and we have to wrap it up. But a couple things really quick is just give me a real quick blurb for those people who have finished the podcast and they're still like, I don't know, I think this whole doll thing is still weird. What's the last thing you have to say to them?
Oh, God. Well, anything's weird if you have no reference points. But you know what? If you just take the time to, look a bit of research, try to stay away from the clickbait articles. As a matter of fact, my blog itself has a lot of articles that will actually turn you in the right directions as far as if you want to buy a doll or what sort of companies make dolls, that sort of thing. My blog is called Shouting to Hear the Echoes. If you just type into Google Davecat blog Shouting to Hear the Echoes, it'll give you the URL because the URL is complicated.
Perfect.
But basically, yeah, anything's going to be weird if you don't know about it. But iDollators and Robosexuals are just like any other person. We just have a different preferences, sort of partners that we like and prefer. Anything is different if you've never heard of it, but we're not out to take over the world. We're not out to destroy all humans. We're not out to replace humans. There's people that like chocolate ice cream, people like vanilla, some people like strawberry.
Okay. All right. And where can people find you, Dave? You gave your website, is there anywhere else? Twitter, all that fun stuff.
Well, yes. You can find me on Twitter under Davecat. That's Davecat, just like my name, but with an @ symbol in front of it. Everyone here has a Twitter account. They're all a bit complicated. Sidore is Leia type. That's Leahtype. But if you basically go to the Twitter homepage on your browser, and every single one of us has links to every one of our other Twitter accounts in the bio.
So find one, find them all.
Although I thought that
exactly.
Isn't Miss Winter a little lazy in her posting on social media?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Basically, Miss Winter has ADHD, so she tends to forget a lot of stuff. She was actually on Twitter for a while, but then she forgot her password. So,
nice.
That's why she's on her phone like 90% of the time. She's got her password in a file, and she's constantly going through those files to try to find that password. She says she's close. So maybe she'll be on before the end of the year.
Nice. All right. And we will put links to everybody's Twitter in our show notes. Again, Davecat, thank you so much for talking to us. I had a blast.
Hey, no, we thought it was awesome, and it was too short. And hey, thanks for the opportunity, both you, Ken and Sonny. This is great.
And thank you, Sidore. I know you're still listening.
And Elena and
She's waving.
Yes.
Don't forget the mistresses.
I'm not. They're sleeping. They can't hear me right now.
But they can hear you on the archive.
But if you're listening on the replay, ladies, hi. Okay. All right. And we are out.
Thanks for listening to American Sex. To keep up with Ken and I, well, first make sure you watch our TV show, Sex with Sonny Megatron, on Showtime. Then visit SonnyMegatron.com. There you can learn more about us, read our blog, peruse our workshop calendar, or hire us. For what? Well, either for private coaching, or to book us to teach at your event or university, or as sex and relationship writers for your publication. Oh, and don't forget, we're on social media, too. I'm the super social one, so you can find me as Sonny Megatron on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, my YouTube channel, and a bunch of other places. But if you want to get me on Snapchat, you got to look for Sonny_Megatron, and you can follow Ken on Twitter at @SideChicken. That's PSYCHICKEN. Also, please support us by shopping with the affiliates and sponsors from our breaks. And if you contribute to our Patreon, we're going to love you forever. Well, we're going to love you forever anyway, but just go with it. Lastly, if you like this broadcast, tell people about it. Tweet it, Facebook status it, and rate it on iTunes and other platforms. Thanks, friends. We'll see you next week on American Sex.